Eso. Eso. Venga. Cinco, ven.
The day after Terence Crawford trained with Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez also shared his own training video, not wanting to miss out on the buzz. As expected, this got boxing fans and experts talking. While many discussed Canelo's size and supported him for Fight Night, Terence Crawford surprised everyone with a bold response to his critics.
Both of us, I believe.
Any doubt in your mind that you beat him?
Of course I beat him. It ain't no doubt in my mind that I won't beat anybody that
Just before this, Crawford shared his mindset and approach ahead of a possible fight with Canelo Alvarez. This fight is shaping up to be one of the most exciting matchups in boxing history. Two different fighting styles, personalities, and legacies are on the line, making this showdown a potential era-defining event for the sport.
Uno. Dos. Tres. Cuatro. Eso.
Crawford, known for his sharp techniques, is seen as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. His win against Errol Spence Jr. proved his dominance as the undisputed welterweight champion. But moving up 2 weight classes to face Canelo is a huge challenge and will truly test his skills. On the other side, Canelo Alvarez, a symbol of Mexican boxing, has been a powerful force across several weight classes. Canelo is famous for his strength and ability to adjust to any opponent, making him a tough rival for anyone in the ring. Facing a fighter of Canelo's level means Crawford will be up against a bigger, stronger challenger.
it won't be like any other fight that he's fought recently, and it'd be a well-fought fight for both of us.
Great fighters test themselves no matter the odds, Crawford recently said. According to experts, Canelo's size, reach, and weight give him a natural edge, which could create challenges for the smaller Crawford. Plus, Canelo's punching power is a major threat. Crawford will need to figure out how to handle that strength. It's about testing yourself, Crawford explained. I've faced tough opponents before, but Canelo is one of the greatest. This is my chance to prove I'm at the top, Crawford said. Despite the tough odds, Crawford has several strengths: his quick reflexes, advanced boxing skills, and ability to adapt during fights. These might help him counter Canelo's power. Crawford's boxing intelligence is his biggest advantage, as he learns and adjusts with every round.
Come my way, and me and him get in the ring, then it'll be an electrifying fight, you know.
Auditor predicting a winner in this fight isn't easy. Both fighters have the skills and experience to win. Crawford's adaptability and Canelo's raw power could swing the fight either way. No matter the result, this matchup is a historic moment in boxing. Both fighters are already legends, and this bout will only add to their legacies. Former 4-division title holder Garcia, however, said he doesn't agree with a potential super middleweight clash between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
They're too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is well.
Last August, Crawford fought hard to defeat Israel Madov and win a title at 154 pounds. Now he's considering moving up 2 weight classes to challenge Alvarez, a fight that could be his biggest challenge and payday yet. Garcia recently shared with Fight Hub TV that he met Crawford at the World Boxing Council convention last December in Hamburg, Germany, where he praised him for his incredible achievements so far. Crawford is one of the best fighters I've ever seen, Garcia said.
You know, fighting at 168, Crawford just moved up to 154, and he had some trouble with that in that fight. Now,
I told him, dude, you're a badass. You've always been one. You don't always get the recognition because of boxing politics and favoritism, but you've proven your skills time and time again. Garcia acknowledged Crawford's greatness, but questioned how a fighter who started his career at lightweight could handle Alvarez at 168 pounds. Canelo, who has unified the division and never lost at 168, has faced top opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Jermall Charlo, and Jaime Munguia, making him the most experienced fighter in the weight class.
Where do you plan on going? 164, 65, 66?
Yeah.
Canelo ain't gonna come down to 160.
Yeah,
Canelo ain't gonna come down.
Canelo isn't going to drop to 160, maybe 166 at most. If the fight happens, I think Canelo wins because of his size and power, Garcia said. Skill-wise, Crawford is better, but size will make the difference. That's why I'm not a fan of this fight. Garcia believes Crawford, now 37 and from Omaha, Nebraska, has already achieved greatness across 4 weight classes from 135 to 154 pounds. While a fight with Alvarez could bring a huge payday, Garcia suggests both fighters pursue different paths instead of this matchup.
Maybe 166 max if he accepts. I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size.
As a fan, I'd rather see Canelo move up and fight someone like Artur Beterbiev or Dmitry Bivol again, Garcia said. If he really wants to challenge himself, 175 is the place to do it, not against a smaller guy like Crawford moving up. And Crawford doesn't need to fight Canelo either. He can face other fighters at 154. As the possibility of this fight grows, more boxing experts are speaking out against it. They believe it's a mistake for Crawford to take on a challenge outside his natural weight class. Still, the former undisputed welterweight champion seems determined to push his limits and solidify his legacy as one of the greatest fighters of this generation. Tyson Fury, who recently lost to a fighter nearly 50 pounds lighter than him, might not be the best person to advise Terence Crawford right now. Still, the 2-time world heavyweight champion shared his thoughts with TNT Sports Boxing. Fury warned Crawford about the challenges of facing Canelo Alvarez at super middleweight. He admitted that Crawford might have had a better chance years ago in a lower division, but now backs Canelo at 168 pounds. If this fight happens at 168, I'll go with Canelo. At 140, I'd pick Crawford. But at super middleweight, it's Canelo, Fury said. Canelo has made it clear that he won't drop weight for this fight, aligning with Crawford's goal of pushing himself to the limit by moving up to 168 pounds, 14 pounds heavier than his last fight. Whether the fight happens is still uncertain. While Crawford seems eager, Canelo has said he's open to it if the price is right. The significant weight difference has become a hot topic among boxing fans, and even Mike Tyson agrees it's a major concern. I don't like that fight, Tyson said on the Come and Talk to Me podcast on September 20th. Too much weight for Crawford. He had a tough fight against Israel Madoff because Madoff was big and awkward. He shouldn't have even fought that guy. Tyson makes a strong point. Crawford's fight with Madoff, who was undefeated at the time, was one of his toughest. Although Madoff was taller than Canelo, Crawford's wiry frame means he would likely sacrifice mass and strength in heavier weight divisions. Still, Crawford is confident he knows his body best. Calling out Canelo? I don't like that fight. Why not? Because it's not the right time for his body to move up the healthy way, Crawford said to Yahoo Sports before fighting Madoff. I moved up in weight to fight the best in the division. Crawford's ambition as a fighter is unmatched, and he may soon get a chance to chase greatness against Canelo. Winning despite the weight difference could cement his legacy. Crawford's trainer, Brian McIntyre, said the fight might be scheduled during one of Canelo's favorite times, either Cinco de Mayo weekend or Mexican Independence Day. When you think of that fight, what comes to mind? McIntyre asked. According to him, preparations are already underway, with everyone working to ensure the fight happens, and both fighters earn massive paydays. McIntyre, who has guided Crawford to titles in 4 weight divisions, is determined to lead him to another historic matchup against Canelo Alvarez. Brian Bromick McIntyre has a packed schedule. Tomorrow, at the Chelsea Ballroom in the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas, his longtime student Steven Nelson will take on Diego Pacheco. Then, next month on Valentine's Day, rising star Keyshawn Davis will test his skills against Dennis Branchie. However, fans might suspect that McIntyre, the 2023 Trainer of the Year, has one fight dominating his thoughts: Terence Crawford potentially facing Canelo Alvarez by September. McIntyre recently spoke about the fight, dismissing the criticism that Crawford hasn't faced top opponents. People say he hasn't fought anybody, but you know what? They were somebody until Crawford fought them, Bomac said confidently. The buzz around this possible matchup has led to plenty of rumors, one of which centers on a rehydration clause, a rule that limits how much weight a fighter can gain after the weigh-in. This is especially relevant because Crawford, before moving up to 154 pounds, was almost 3 weight classes lighter than Alvarez. Ring Magazine's Ricky Fattar caught up with Bomac in a Las Vegas gym to address the rumors. When asked if Crawford's camp opposed a rehydration clause, McIntyre dismissed the idea entirely. "I don't care about that. If an opponent gains too much weight and becomes sluggish, that's on them, not us," he said. When pressed further on whether Crawford could win without a rehydration limit, McIntyre didn't hesitate. "I'm fully confident in Crawford. Weight isn't going to be the reason he loses because he's not losing," the trainer said with conviction. Skepticism arose as Sutu pointed out that most fighters facing larger opponents typically push for a rehydration clause. "That's usually the first thing they ask for," he said. But Brian Bromick McIntyre shut down the idea. "That's nonsense," he replied. Bromick dismissed the entire concept of a rehydration clause as pointless. He finds it absurd when people say, "Oh, you can't come in at this weight." In his opinion, once a fighter makes the official weigh-in, it's up to them how they manage their weight afterward. "You agreed to the fight, so let's just get in the ring and fight like real fighters," McIntyre concluded confidently. The confusion around the rehydration clause likely began after the Ryan Garcia vs. Gervonta Davis fight, where the term gained more attention. It's time to clarify this issue to avoid further misunderstandings. A few days ago, Mike Kopp-Pinger confirmed that no official contracts have been signed yet, but there's a strong chance Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford could meet during Mexican Independence Day weekend in September. As Crawford has stated, the fight would take place at 168 pounds with no rehydration clause, as reported by ESPN's Boxing Insider. "Let's go, man. That's what Crawford wants. He wants to prove to the world that he's the best," McIntyre said. "Why add stipulations?" Crawford, fresh off his victory over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds, is now aiming for a fight against the Mexican icon. While Crawford has achieved plenty in boxing, beating Canelo would be his crowning moment. Canelo, the super middleweight world champion, has only lost twice, against Dimitri Bivol and Floyd Mayweather. McIntyre believes the Bivol fight holds key lessons for Crawford. Bivol made him move his feet. If this fight happens, that's the one I'd study, he said on the Luke Thomas YouTube channel. It's simple, McIntyre added. If you understand boxing, you'll see Crawford will get in there and do what he needs to do. He also referenced Mayweather's win over Canelo as another example. According to WBN, Crawford's name is reportedly on Canelo's shortlist for a potential fight, with Crawford determined to prove his dominance by moving up 2 weight classes. Though he recognizes the size disadvantage, Crawford remains confident he can impose his boxing style. However, some analysts are skeptical of Crawford's ability to perform at super middleweight. His recent points victory over Israil Madrimov at super welterweight, while solid, didn't deliver the dominant display many expected. Canelo, as expected, is likely to dominate the conversation about who his next opponent will be. Regardless of the concerns, a potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has captured the imagination of boxing. Fans everywhere. The mix of power, speed, technique, and charisma from both fighters promises to create an unforgettable showdown. Canelo has built a tradition of fighting twice a year, once in May and again in September, aligning the latter with Mexico's Independence Day celebrations. Since 2022, he has consistently scheduled his bouts around these dates, and it's anticipated he'll do the same this year. With David Benavidez, the mandatory World Boxing Council 168 lb challenger, seemingly being passed over, Terence Crawford has emerged as a strong contender for Canelo's first fight of the year. Crawford, who fights at 154 lbs, 2 weight classes, below Canelo's super middleweight division, faces skepticism from critics who see the fight as more of a media spectacle than a competitive clash. Efforts to make the fight happen are underway, with Crawford and his team, including Sheikh Turki Al-Sheikh, reportedly trying to convince Canelo to accept the challenge. It's rumored Canelo is asking for $150 million to take the fight, which raises questions about how serious both parties are. Given the lackluster response to a Crawford fight in purely sporting terms, and with Benavidez waiting at 175 lbs, Canelo may have other compelling options to consider as he looks to open 2025 with a bang. Another name being floated. As a potential opponent for Canelo Alvarez is Christian Emi, a 29-year-old undefeated French boxer with a 28-0 record. In his most recent fight, Emi defeated Sergey Derevyanchenko in August, making him a contender for the World Boxing Council. Meanwhile, Terence Crawford was last seen in action back in August, making his 154 lb debut against WBA super welterweight champion Israil Madrimov. The fight was no walk in the park for Crawford, as Madrimov pushed him harder than anyone has in his career. Still, Crawford emerged victorious via unanimous decision, claiming the title and becoming a 4-weight world champion. Having faced Crawford firsthand, Madrimov recently shared his thoughts on a potential Crawford versus Canelo fight while speaking to Boxing News. His prediction? Canelo will win, he said. It's a very different weight class. Canelo will win, I think, by decision. Madrimov, who is set to face Virgil Ortiz Jr. for the World Boxing Council interim super welterweight title next month, is just one of many weighing in on this possible showdown. Former 2-weight world champion Tim Bradley also chimed in, saying, "One man is going to beat the brakes off the other." Meanwhile, Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion, has thrown his support behind Crawford. Speaking to the 3KR podcast, Usyk praised Crawford for his boldness in moving up 3 weight classes to challenge Canelo and highlighted Crawford's exceptional intelligence and versatility in the ring. "I say Terence wins over Canelo," Usyk said. "Terence is different, man. He works in 2 stances. He's a very, very smart fighter. That's all for now." For the latest updates, highlights, and insights in the world of boxing, stay connected by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our quality content. Until next time, peace out.